and hope never seen. It is here another world hides on the third of sights.
This is a Brian Fredward MacGregor production, and no part, whole or otherwise, is to be copied, duplicated, reproduced or transmitted in any form, way, manner or type without their express written permission of his sole owner, Brian Fredward MacGregor, 2021. The third of sides, The Tramp, Season 1, Episode 7, by Brian Fredward MacGregor, April 2021. Well, he was named Mitch, and was nicknamed the Tramp, as he worked those pedals with great vigour, very heavily when playing his guitar. He wore very torn clothes, but not because he was poor. It's because it was just a style as such, one he liked. Mitch played the bars and restaurants for free on an altruistic basis, just to make people happy. It's said he fell asleep each night with the guitar across his chest, and to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised. He didn't drink, smoke or take drugs either, being clean cut, but he played classic guitar rock like it was going out of fashion. His life was classic rock and playing at gigs. He wasn't with partner either, as he thought it unfair with his commitment to music being so. He didn't work either, but did have charitable enterprise for charities, in that he wrote his music into books, played guitar and gave whatever he could financially to. He played for the sheer love of it. Mitch arrived at the gig as such, and then finally Mitch was up to perform. He shouts, "Good evening." I know this is a comedy stage. Let's hope I'm still laughing after this performance. At this point Mitch warms up a little, and then lets it rip big time. After the show, all the entertainers for the evening lined up and sat at tables and were signing autographs as such. A more mature gentleman was last up in the queue, in that he was jostled to the back of the line. The other groups, band, singers and performers all had a great laugh at the guy, who was more senior and a little frail, but he loved the scene as much as Mitch. And well, he was the only performer who cared enough to give the man his signature. Everyone else, well, just said, "Next, next, next," even though he was the last. Sadly before then laughing loudly. Mitch on the night was not the best performer, but he was very apt as such at playing guitar and had a great stage presence. The older gentleman held his piece of paper out, which had lots of writing on it. The other performers, band members, singers and groups saw the piece of paper, which was printed and had been folded possibly 1,000,000 times. Then each decided not to sign the gentleman's piece of paper, and they ignored his request for an autograph. Mitch, well, he was humble as pie, and a humble pie at that. The other performers as a whole had everything: the set, the equipment, the smart mouse, and better playing. But this didn't deter Mitch from signing his autograph, and he even smiled at the fan. Well, at the time, Mitch, he looked at the scrawled up piece of paper and folded it wholly, unlike everyone else, and then actually signed it. The gentleman said thanks. He then asked Mitch for a drink at the bar, as it wasn't the bells as such, or kicking out time as it's often called. Not as yet. Everyone else just laughed like never before. There was great howls as they watched Mitch wander off with some old geezer, as one other performer put it. Half an hour later, everyone was still signing away. Just a few stragglers though as such, you know. Then Mitch and the gentleman went back over to the tables for signatures again. Everyone was still laughing as Mitch and Edgar, as Mitch found out his name was. One commented, "Did you get him some cocoa with some sugar for his bedtime?" The old gentleman replied, "No, I gave him something sweeter, £1,000,000 contract to produce music for a year. If you had taken the time to read the sheet I gave you for the autograph, you might have noticed it was for a contract. A blank one at that, as I'm a record executive, the boss of bosses, of bosses." Well, you could hear a pin drop, like drop. Nobody laughed, strangely enough, when they realised he was serious. Mitch stood there beaming with a smile like no other. The other performers were close to choking, and there was coughing like you would not believe. "Edgar," the older gentleman said, "I will make sure none of you ever become anything, not that you ever were or will be now, for what you have said and done and how you made me feel about myself. If you were famous, you would know the poorer individual's money spends the same as the richer ones. A fan is a fan. You did not see that, did you? None of you, none of you. Good luck to you all with the future. You will need it." Everyone just laid back in their seats, more rocked in the music they watched tonight, created, and ever would make. Edgar, the executive, smiled a smile they would never forget, and he walked away with Mitch. They are still probably sobbing to this day. The end. This was a Brian Fred Warren MacGregor production, and no part, whole or otherwise, is to be copied, duplicated, reproduced or transmitted in any form, way, manner or type without the express written permission of the sole owner, Brian Fred Warren MacGregor. April 2021.